The storm had stopped, but the sky above Colony 87 still looked sick. Dark green clouds hung heavy, like the planet itself was breathing slowly. Captain Reyes stood on the edge of the destroyed landing pad, his boots sinking slightly into the muddy ground. His visor flickered with static. "No signs of life," he whispered, though the silence already told him that. They were supposed to find survivors here. Instead, they found only ruins and fear. The dropship behind him hissed as it closed. 4 Marines followed him, scanning the area with rifles raised. The colony buildings were broken, walls crushed, inward, not outward, like something had pushed its way inside, not exploded from within. But there were no scorch marks, no bullet shells, just deep claw marks in the steel walls, like something massive and sharp had torn through them. "Where's the comm tower?" Reyes asked, voice tight. "Gone," Sergeant Holt replied. "It's like someone ripped it out of the ground. No signals, no power, no logs." They moved deeper into the colony. Wind whistled through the broken corridors. A few bloodstains painted the walls. But there were no bodies. Not one. It was like the people had simply vanished, all 73 of them. Their belongings were still there. Shoes, dishes, even food left half-eaten on tables now covered in dust. "This doesn't feel right," said Private Lynn, her voice shaky. "This isn't how raiders work. They don't clean up the bodies." Reyes didn't answer. His hand tightened on his weapon. He knew fear when he saw it, and whatever happened here had made people run. But there were no escape pods missing, no distress shuttles. The only thing they found was a single message carved into the metal floor near the colony center. 4 words. "We saw something. We ran." Then silence. Suddenly, a burst of static crackled in Reyes's ear. He pressed his comms. "Base, do you copy?" No answer. Then again, static, and a low whisper. "They're coming." He turned sharply, rifle raised. "Who said that?" The Marines looked at each other. No one had spoken. Holt shook his head. "I heard it too, Cap." Reyes took a breath. "Everyone, back to the dropship, now." They turned around, walking fast, but the dropship was gone. Not crashed, not stolen, gone. The hill where it had landed was now empty, as if it had never been there at all. The mud was smooth, no sign of landing gear, no burn marks. Reyes blinked hard. This isn't possible." A low rumble echoed across the land. Then the ground began to shake. Something massive was moving under their feet. A shadow passed over them. It didn't make a sound. No engine, no wind. Just pure black sliding over the sky, like a second moon moving too fast. They all looked up. A ship, shaped like a dagger, was descending. It didn't belong to any known Earth fleet. It had no lights, no markings, no visible doors. It hovered above the ground, completely silent. Then it spoke. A voice, not from the ship, but from everywhere. Backup requested, "We're here." The voice was deep, smooth, and filled with something that wasn't anger, but something older, cold, like a machine that had seen too much war and forgotten what peace looked like. Reyes raised his weapon. "Identify yourself." The ship answered by opening, not with a ramp or hatch, but like a flower, unfolding from the center. 5 figures stepped out, tall, armored, faces hidden behind glass that glowed softly. Deathworlders. They had been just a rumor. Creatures from the edge of known space, banned from most systems. They came from planets so dangerous that only the strongest survived. Some said they were part human. Others claimed they were something else entirely, something the universe itself had tried to erase. "You called," said one, stepping forward. "We answered." Reyes didn't lower his gun. "We didn't call for you." The figure tilted its head. "Not you." Them. It pointed toward the colony. Holt whispered, "This is bad. We should leave." But the Deathworlders were already walking toward the ruins. The ground seemed to shift around them. The sky pulsed, and for a second, Reyes thought he saw something move in the distance. Something big. A tower of black metal rose from the ground ahead, shaking off dirt and vines like it had been asleep. "What is that?" Lynn asked. The Deathworlder paused. "Awakening." The ground cracked. A sharp wind slammed into them. And from the far side of the colony came a sound none of them could explain, a sound like breathing, but not one set of lungs. Thousands. Reyes stepped back. "What did we land on?" The Deathworlder looked at him. "Not a planet," it said. A warning. Behind them, the jungle began to move, trees bending, not from wind, but something walking between them. The Deathworlder looked toward the sky and said just one word, "Run." They ran, not because they were ordered to, but because every part of their body screamed to move. The jungle behind them was alive now, but not like normal life. It twisted and shifted as if something was wearing the forest like a skin. The trees didn't sway. They leaned like they were listening, watching. Captain Reyes pushed forward, rifle tight in his hands, his boots smashing through thick roots and wet soil. Behind him, Sergeant Holt yelled for Lynn to keep up. She stumbled once, but the Deathworlder caught her by the arm, effortlessly, then let go without a word. "What the hell is happening?" Reyes shouted as they reached a clearing. He turned, heart pounding. "You said this wasn't a planet. Then what is it?" The lead Deathworlder stood still, scanning the tree line. His armor made no sound, but his presence felt heavy, like gravity itself bent around him. "It was built," he said, "long ago, before humans even dreamed of space." "Before our kind, too. It was made as a weapon," Lynn gasped. "A weapon for what?" The Deathworlder turned to her slowly. "To kill gods." No one spoke. The forest had stopped moving, but the air was thick, too thick. Reyes wiped sweat from his forehead. The heat wasn't natural. It pressed down like pressure from deep water. Suddenly something clicked. Holt stepped back. "We're in a trap," he said. "The colony wasn't attacked. It was absorbed. This thing, it feeds on life." The Deathworlder nodded. "It consumes, learns, and adapts. That is why we were called. Your signal activated." "A warning system." Reyes stared at him. "You mean your kind left a signal here?" The Deathworlder didn't answer. Instead, he held out a device, a small cube that hovered above his hand. A blue light spun inside it. "This," he said, "is a key." Without waiting, he pressed it into the air, and space tore open. It wasn't like a normal doorway. It was like the universe blinked. For half a second, everyone saw something else. Machines that moved like animals, skies filled with black fire, and massive creatures frozen in time. Then it was gone. A passage had appeared in the ground, a staircase, made of smooth stone untouched by dirt or time. "This leads below," the Deathworlder said, "to the core." Reyes shook his head. "Why would we go deeper?" "Because," the Deathworlder replied, "it's awake now, and it's looking at you." There was no time to argue. The forest behind them rumbled again. Trees collapsed, one by one, not falling from wind, but being pulled under. They moved down the stairs quickly. The air changed as they descended. It grew colder, quieter. No more wind, no jungle sounds. Just their footsteps. The walls began to glow, soft blue veins pulsing through the stone. Lynn ran her fingers over one. "This isn't built by humans." "No," the Deathworlder said. "It's older. This is organic technology. It breathes, learns, and waits." The hallway opened into a massive underground chamber. Everyone stopped. It was a city. Buildings stretched far and wide, made of glass, bone, and metal shaped like coral. Lights flickered in slow rhythm, like the city had a heartbeat. The structures weren't empty. Shadows moved inside. Not quickly, but like they'd always been there. Watching. "Someone's here," Holt whispered. Reyes scanned the area, rifle raised. "No. Something is here." As they moved deeper, they passed through a circular chamber filled with floating cubes, like memories trapped in glass. The Deathworlder paused before one. He placed a hand on it, and an image appeared. An alien. Race, tall and silver-skinned, bowed before something hidden in shadow. Then screams. Fire. Death. Lynn looked away. "What happened to them?" "They tried to control it," the Deathworlder answered. "They failed." Suddenly, a light blinked at the far side of the room. A soft humming sound started. A human figure stepped into view. Everyone froze. She was barefoot, wearing torn clothes from the colony above. Her eyes glowed faintly blue. Her hair was matted, her skin pale. But she looked calm. Peaceful. "Identify yourself," Reyes said sharply. The woman tilted her head. Then, in a voice that echoed twice, once as human, once as something else, she said, "I am the first survivor." Reyes stepped forward slowly. "What happened to the others?" "They were taken," she said. "Some fed the roots, some were tested, some became one with the system." Her eyes flicked toward the Deathworlder. "You came too late," she said. He didn't respond. Reyes frowned. "You're not just human anymore." "No," she replied softly. "I'm part of it now, and it sees all of you." A low, deep hum began to rise. The ground trembled. "You brought weapons," she said, stepping closer. "It remembers that. It remembers war." Behind her, something moved in the walls, shapes pressing against the stone from the inside, like bones beneath skin. "We have to leave," Holt said. The Deathworlder didn't move. He looked at the woman. "This place, will it let us?" She smiled. "No," she whispered. Then the entrance sealed behind them. The walls turned red, and the city began to breathe faster. The city walls pulsed with red light like veins under skin. Every breath the place took was deeper now, faster, like something inside it was waking up. Captain Reyes spun around and fired his weapon at the sealed entrance. The bullets sparked, but did nothing. The stone was too smooth, too alive. "We're locked in," he said. Sergeant Holt moved next to him, gun raised. "This place isn't just closing the door. It's trapping us like prey." Reyes turned toward the glowing woman, the survivor. She stood still, arms at her side, like she wasn't worried at all. Her eyes glowed brighter now. "I warned you," she said softly. "It knows you're here." Reyes stepped toward her, gun still in hand. "What does it want?" "Balance," she replied, "and memory. It was asleep for a long time, but you stepped on the wrong nerve." The Deathworlder walked forward slowly, scanning the walls. "It is testing us." Lynn swallowed hard. "Testing? For what?" "To see if we're a threat," he answered. "Or food." The walls shuddered again, and a low tone echoed through the chamber. The cubes floating in the air changed color, from soft blue to harsh orange. One by one, they began to glow and spin. Then the floor dropped. Not all of it, just the area beneath Reyes and his team. They fell fast, sliding down a long, curved tunnel, spinning as if gravity itself had shifted. Holt screamed. Lynn grabbed Reyes's arm. Light flashed around them. Scenes from other worlds, dead planets, burning ships. Then silence. They landed hard in a circular room lit by strange symbols on the walls. The air felt heavy, like it was full of dust that wasn't really dust. Memories, maybe. What is this place? Reyes asked, helping Lynn to her feet. The Deathworlder dropped beside them a moment later, landing with barely a sound. This is the center, he said. The brain. The room was alive with slow humming and strange movements beneath the floor. There were no computers, no machines, only walls that pulsed like muscle and lines of energy that flowed like blood. Reyes walked forward, drawn to the center of the room. A large black crystal floated above a stone platform. It spun slowly, and as it moved, it showed reflections, images of people and places that didn't exist anymore. He saw Earth, but ruined, burning, then gone. "What is this?" he asked. "It's showing what might come," said the Deathworlder. "If the system decides Earth is a threat..." Lynn stepped closer. "Can it really destroy planets?" The Deathworlder looked at her. "It has." Suddenly, a loud voice echoed through the chamber. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien. It was something older. "You have been seen. You have been measured. You have been found." Everyone held their breath. The voice stopped. Then the crystal exploded in light, and from the shadows, figures appeared. Not people. They looked like soldiers, but their armor was fused into their bodies. Their eyes glowed the same red as the walls. They didn't walk. They floated slightly above the ground, silent. Reyes raised his weapon. "Contact! Left side!" Before he could fire, the Deathworlder stepped in front. His arm shifted. A weapon unfolded from his armor, and with a loud hum, he fired a beam of energy that cut through one of the figures. It screamed, not with pain, but with static. The other figures moved fast, like insects swarming. Chaos broke out. Holt fired. Lynn ducked. Behind a column, the Deathworlder fought like he was born in war, his moves too fast to follow. Reyes fired round after round, but the figures kept coming. "They don't stop," Holt yelled. "They're memories," the Deathworlder shouted back. "Physical memories. Kill one. It's replaced." Suddenly, the glowing woman appeared at the edge of the room. She walked through the fight untouched, the red light flowing around her. "Stop!" she shouted, and everything froze. The figures halted mid-attack. She walked toward the crystal platform. "This place isn't trying to kill you," she said. "It's trying to understand why you came." Reyes stared at her. "Then tell it. Tell it we're not enemies." She turned to him. "You came with weapons," she said. "You came with fear. You came with Deathworlders." She looked at the tall warrior beside them. "Your kind betrayed this place once." The Deathworlder lowered his head slightly. "I know." "What's she talking about?" Holt asked. Reyes looked at the Deathworlder. "What did you do?" There was a long silence. Then the Deathworlder spoke. "A long time ago, we found this world. We tried to control it. We failed. We left a warning signal so no one else would make the same mistake." He looked around. "I broke that promise." The woman stepped up to the crystal base. "You woke it with your fear. Now it wants a sacrifice." The walls pulsed red again. A voice returned. "One must stay. One must merge, or all will end." Reyes stepped forward. "What does it mean, merge?" The woman touched the crystal. "It wants to connect to someone new, someone who can speak for it, someone it can learn from." Her eyes glowed brighter. "I stayed," she said, "but I'm not enough. It wants more." Reyes looked around at his team. "No," he said. "We came to help. We're not losing anyone else." The Deathworlder stepped forward. "I will stay." Reyes turned. "No, we don't even know what that means." But the Deathworlder was already removing pieces of his armor. Underneath was pale skin marked with scars, some of them glowing. "I was born for war," he said. "Let me end one." The Dia crystal pulsed. The city went quiet, and the walls turned blue. But just before the light faded, the Deathworlder looked at Reyes one last time. "You need to leave now," he said. Because something else is waking up, something this place cannot. Control. Then he stepped into the light, and the floor vanished beneath them again. The fall this time wasn't like the last. It wasn't fast, and it wasn't cold. It was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Reyes opened his eyes and found himself lying in a room that didn't feel real. The walls were smooth, silver, glowing slightly, but there were no shadows, no corners. Everything was round, soft, endless. Lynn sat beside him, breathing hard, eyes wide. Holt was already standing, weapon in hand, turning slowly like he didn't trust the air. "Where are we?" Lynn asked. Reyes sat up. His head felt light, like he was floating, but gravity still held them. "I don't know," he said. "But this place, it's different. There were no doors, no sounds, and the Deathworlder was gone. Do you think he's alive?" Holt asked quietly. Reyes didn't answer. Part of him hoped so. Part of him wasn't sure if that mattered anymore. What they had just witnessed wasn't normal. Not technology, not science. This was something else. Something deeper, older, buried under the skin of the universe. Suddenly, a ripple passed through the room. Not through the floor, but through their minds. Lynn gasped. Holt dropped to one knee. Reyes clenched his teeth as a new voice filled the air, not with words but with memories. A boy on a red planet playing with ash-covered stones. A city floating in a black sky, screaming as it burned. A machine with eyes that never blinked, watching, over a sleeping world. The memories passed in seconds, but felt like years. Then the voice finally spoke. "You still do not understand. You are not alone in the galaxy. You never were." The light dimmed, and the walls opened. Not like doors, but like the room peeled itself back, and behind the wall was space. Not outer space, memory space. It was like stepping into someone else's dream. They floated forward, pulled by invisible force, and landed in what looked like a control center, but not made for humans. The chairs were too wide. The panels didn't have buttons, only swirling patterns of light and sound. Then they saw it. Floating in the center of the chamber was a frozen being, 20 feet tall, covered in smooth black armor, with 6 arms and a mouth sewn shut. Its chest rose and fell slowly, like it was breathing in sleep. Lynn stepped back. "What is that?" Holt raised his rifle. "It's alive," Reyes stared. "Is that what the planet was hiding?" "No," came a soft voice behind them. They turned. The woman, the hybrid survivor, was back. But she looked different now. Her eyes were no longer glowing blue. They were gray, like metal clouds before a storm. Her skin shimmered faintly, and her voice echoed as if it came from far away. "That," she said, nodding toward the sleeping creature, "is what's beneath all of this. The true reason this world exists." Reyes narrowed his eyes. "You said the planet wanted to protect itself." "It does," she said, "because that thing is not dead." Holt asked, "Then what is it?" She looked at him, and for the first time her face showed fear. "It's waiting." They all stood in silence. Reyes stepped forward. "Why wait? What's it waiting for?" She turned to him. "A voice." The words hit him hard. "A voice." She nodded. "Long ago, the creators of this place built the system to hold it here, to keep it asleep. But over time, the system began to think. It wanted to understand what it was guarding, why it mattered. That's why it tests visitors. That's why it copies minds." She looked down. "The Deathworlder. He passed the test." The system took his mind, his memories, his emotions. Now it has a voice. The frozen giant's eyes blinked, just once. Reyes stepped back. "No, you're saying it's going to talk now?" I'm saying, she said, it already has. A deep hum filled the room. A crack formed in the giant's armor. The sewn mouth split, but not in pain, in purpose. A low sound escaped the creature's throat, like thunder trapped under water, and then it spoke. In the Deathworlders' voice, Captain Reyes. Reyes froze. It had copied him. It was using his name. I have seen your world, it said, mouth unmoving. Your wars, your greed, your kindness, your fear. You are not ready. Lynn shook her head. It's judging Earth. Holt raised his weapon. We need to shut it down. You can't, the woman said. It's not a machine. It's a choice. Reyes clenched his jaw. Then tell me how to stop it. She walked toward the sleeping giant. You can't stop it, but you can speak to it. Me? She turned. It saw your memories too. It wants to hear your truth. The creature leaned forward slightly. The air vibrated. You sent weapons, it said, but you also sent your people. Will you fight me, Captain Reyes? Or will you speak? He lowered. His rifle. I'll speak. He stepped forward, past the hybrid, past the glowing panels, and stood face to face with a sleeping god wearing a soldier's voice. He took a breath. We are broken, he said. But we are trying. Every day, we make mistakes. We hurt each other. But we also save each other. We love. We build. We hope. The giant didn't move. Reyes continued. You want to judge us for what we've done. Fine. But you haven't seen what we can become. Silence. Then the giant blinked once more, and the voice changed. It sounded younger, curious. We will listen. Reyes turned to his team, relief just starting to rise, until the room shook again, a different sound, deeper, older, from below. The woman's face went pale. No, she whispered. It's not the only one. Far beneath them, something else had woken up, something the system didn't control. The floor shook like a heartbeat with no rhythm. The soft blue lights in the chamber flickered and then snapped to red. Captain Reyes spun around, grabbing Lynn and pulling her back from the edge of the control platform. The sleeping giant in the center, once still and silent, now trembled with confusion. Something's down there, Holt said, his voice low, eyes locked on the floor beneath them. Something worse. The hybrid woman stared at the walls like she was listening to a voice no one else could hear. Her lips moved, but no sound came. Then she whispered just one word. Protocol. Reyes turned toward her. What protocol? She didn't answer him. She only stared at the sleeping being, the one that had spoken in the Deathworlders' voice, and slowly backed away. It's scared, she said quietly. It can feel it too. Reyes felt cold run down his spine. Wait, you're saying that thing, that god, whatever it is afraid? She nodded. It was built to stop something, and now that something has returned. Suddenly, the control platform began to shift. Panels lifted. Columns rose from the floor. One of them unfolded into a long structure, like a gate made of black bone and glass. Symbols lit up along its surface, forming patterns none of them had seen before. The hybrid looked at the symbols and her eyes widened. That's not part of this system. Then the voice returned, but not the voice of the guardian above. This voice was wrong. It scraped across the walls like claws. It didn't speak. It bled into the air. You opened the gate, Lynn covered her ears. Holt looked nauseous. Even Reyes felt like his brain was shaking inside his skull. The guardian giant lifted its head slowly. Do not listen, it boomed, now sounding more human than before. It lives below. It was locked for a reason. Reyes shouted, What is it? the woman replied with shaking hands. The first mind, the one the builders couldn't erase, the one that turned the system against itself. Another tremor. The city above them screamed, actual sound like metal tearing and voices crying out. But there was no one left alive up there. The hybrid staggered forward. The system is breaking. The merge wasn't fast enough. You brought too many signals, too many voices. Suddenly, the floor beneath them cracked, not open but upward. Black spike erupted through the platform, narrowly missing Reyes. It pulsed with red light, but not the same red as before. This was darker, hungrier, and it kept growing. More spikes tore through the floor. The guardian giant rose to its full height, arms stretched wide. Its voice thundered, "Defense mode active!" The room responded. Walls shifted. Plates of armor slid into place. Energy began to charge around the giant's chest. But from below, a shape was rising. Not a machine, not a life form, something in between. Reyes grabbed Lynn and Holt. "We need to move!" But there was nowhere to go. The exits had collapsed. The hybrid woman stood frozen in place, staring into the growing hole beneath the platform. "It's not just trying to escape," she whispered. "It's trying to replace everything." Reyes turned to her. "Replace what?" "Life," she said. "It thinks it can do better." Suddenly, the Deathworlders' voice returned, but this time it wasn't from the giant. It came from the ceiling, from the walls, from inside their own heads. "You should not have come back." Reyes looked around wildly. "That's not him." "No," the woman said. "That's what copied him. The system used his voice to protect itself. But this is the other half. The original voice of the world. The broken one." Another spike pierced the platform. The city shook violently. Far away, explosions rippled through the walls, defenses collapsing one by one. The guardian giant charged its core, preparing to fire, but something blocked it. A figure, not huge, not armored, but glowing black, walking through the fire like it was water. It had no face, no mouth, just eyes, thousands of tiny red lights crawling across its skin like insects. Reyes whispered, "What is that?" The woman replied, "The failed voice, the one that turned against its creators, the one that refused to sleep." The creature stepped toward the giant and raised its arm. Reyes turned to Lynn. "If that thing wins," she nodded, "it'll control the whole system." The woman pointed toward the symbols on the bone gate. "That gate, it leads to the original core. You can shut it down. But only from there." Reyes shook his head. "You said there's no way out." She looked at him. "I lied." Another wall cracked. A hallway opened. Reyes looked at Holt and Lynn. "You two go. Find that core. I'll hold this thing off." Lynn grabbed his arm. "You'll die." He forced a smile. "Maybe. But if it gets out, we all do." She didn't move. So he shouted, "Go!" Lynn and Holt ran. Reyes turned toward the rising monster. The Guardian fired a blast of energy, but it bent around the dark figure like light hitting water. The monster raised its hand, and the Guardian giant froze in midair. "It has us," the hybrid whispered. Then the ceiling tore open, and daylight poured into the chamber. But the sky wasn't blue anymore. It was red, and it was falling.